Ladies, gentlemen, and destined ones of all ages, as you progress further into Black Myth Wukong, you will quickly realize that the game just expands and expands to the point where by chapter 3 and 4, it starts to feel almost incorrect to call the game linear anymore, with the sheer amount of just potential explorable areas and optional content to be found. A couple of days ago, we talked about the secrets in the first half of chapter 4. Today, we're going to round it off and finish the second half of the chapter. We'll go in progression order as well, so that you know where to drop off if we pass where you are in the game, but also we will only focus on the things that really genuinely matter: key items, equipment, optional bosses, NPC quests, and any sort of permanent upgrades like bonus sparks or celestial pills. Starting off then from the Purifying Spring Shrine. We have a key item building towards a pretty big reward later on in the final section of the game, the Skandha of Choice. From this shrine, simply head forwards and hug the left side like this the whole way around until you're going up the rocky staircase of the main path, and then there will be a drop on your left that you can go to down here with a bunch of egg sacs and a Buddha head statue. Walk up and interact with the statue and you'll get the Skandha of Choice. Next up is the Dragonfly Gwai Spirit. Again, from that main sort of rocky stairway that you dropped down to get to this, just keep going up the stairs, and then on your right as you come into the more open area, you'll want to actually walk up to a blue flaming dragonfly enemy that is sitting on a ledge a little bit over the side. Walk over, kill him, and you'll get the spirit for yourself. The active effect of this fires a bunch of poison arrows out like the enemies do at you, and the passive equip effect increases the chi gained from hitting enemies, but reduces your maximum health, your maximum stamina, and your maximum mana as well. So it's good if you really like spirit skills, but not really for much else, honestly. Moving on then, most things are along the main path for a bit until we hit the Mountain Trail Shrine in the Temple of the Yellow Flower. From here, head up along the main path, but simply make sure that you turn this corner on your left to open the chest that contains it. This one isn't too hard to find, but it is important not to miss, as this is one of the more powerful gourd upgrades in the game. Specifically, it is a soak that gives you a chance to not consume a gourd use when you use your gourd. So essentially, by the law of averages and such, this will just increase the number of uses that your gourd has each life by at least a little bit. So this is essentially anywhere from a bit of bonus healing to a lot of bonus healing each life, depending on RNG. Then we move to the next shrine, the Forest of Ferocity. The main path from here is to the right, and to your left instead, you will just find a meditation spot overlooking a cliff. This is a free spark when you use it for your skill tree. Ahead of this area though, on the main path forward, there are some blue-robed monk enemies, and it's worth noting all of these enemies have a small random drop chance of the Fruit of Dao soak for your gourd, which gives you increased iframes on dodges for a short duration after drinking from the gourd, so it's definitely an interesting reward for sure. Moving to the next shrine, the temple entrance, there is an optional boss about 10 feet behind here, but he's very, very obvious, so I won't go into too much detail about it, but just in case you miss it, it's there. From this shrine then, head up until the open courtyard, then on the left side is the main path, on the right side is the optional stuff. So, through the archway on the right, and then we'll take a left through here to find another meditation spot for another free spark. As well, behind this, on the rage section of this area, is the blue flaming snake sheriff enemy. Mine is dead, unfortunately, my footage died, but he is supposed to be here, and he will drop his spirit when you defeat him the first time as an item, with the active effect making you essentially do an AoE flinching roar, which is pretty neat, and the passive equip effect increasing your attack by a bit, but decreasing your defense by a fair amount more. If you never get hit, then that's pretty good. If you get hit sometimes, it's much less good, so consider it that way. Up the stairs behind this enemy then, there will be an NPC with the giant gourd to interact with, who is sitting right beside a glowing vase that you can break to get an awakened wineworm permanent upgrade craft material for yourself. Past that, we move on to the Court of Illumination Shrine, the last one before the final boss of the chapter, and it is very important which direction you go after using this shrine, as one direction is the completion of a quest line that is cancelled if you have already engaged the boss of the level, and another path is very quickly, specifically that boss that cancels it. So first things first, head directly behind the shrine, forward and up some stairs. This will bring you to the final of the purple talismans for the chapter 4 quest related to these. If you have gotten the other 3 of them, this one will then initiate a cutscene that ends with technically an actual optional boss fight, the Supreme Instructor. This, however, doesn't last very long, as after not too much damage, a cutscene will be scripted to appear and interrupt you, ending the quest all done. Right behind this, after the cutscene then, is a Celestial Maximum Stamina Increase pill, just for some bonus stats as well. Back to the shrine then, next you want to turn around and head backwards out the way you came, through the guarded little archway. Then across from the path here is another archway, follow through this for a stone path and a stairway leading up the actual outside area, and eventually you will hit this fork here where on your left is a sort of sloping downward path, but on your right is an open courtyard. Go into the courtyard and pick up this specific mushroom here for another optional boss, the Fungi Woman. This is probably the most interesting of the plant guys that I've seen so far in the game as far as its moveset goes, but on defeat it will drop its own spirit for you to have and use just like the others. The active effect of this spirit creates a just sort of rain of tracking spores on enemies that will actually life steal from enemies, doing damage to them and healing you in return. The passive equip effect increases maximum health at the cost of lowering your maximum stamina. Behind this mushroom on a table, you will also find the Sunset of the Nine Skies drink, which is a 3 soak capacity drink that recovers 35% of your maximum health, as well as a considerable amount of chi when you use it. Basically, if you want to build around spirit skills, this thing is perfect for you. This time, head back to the fork in the path that I mentioned before the open area, and now we want to head down the sloped path to a boss arena for the next optional boss, the Venom Daoist. But again, he will only be here if you beat him the first time, back by the Shattered Pool of Jade in the Webbed Hollow area, which we talked about in the first part of Chapter 4 video. Fight him and beat him here though in his second place, and you will get some crafting materials, but more importantly, this is how you unlock the secret area of Chapter 4, walking in through the wall like it's a Mario painting, and this will bring you to Purple Cloud Mountain. Within here, there are 3 bosses, each one essentially their own secret due to being within this secret area. There are 3 bosses there, but only one of them is actually a mandatory fight, and if you do the mandatory one first, you actually lose out on the other 2 until New Game Plus, because they are cancelled. First up then, after the Valley of Blooms Shrine. Head forward, and eventually there will be a more built-up looking path that goes forwards, and a more wild looking path on your right. This is another fork in the path. Start with the wild path to the right. Follow this to eventually hit the Bounds of Deity's Abode Shrine, and just up past this, up the stairs, you will find the Scorpionlord boss fight. I did my stuff out of order, so I'm locked out of this. I didn't get to do the Scorpionlord, but his rewards, so you know, are the crafting material to make the chest piece of the insect armor set that you first unlocked all the way back in Chapter 2, as well as a stained jade gourd, which just gives you significantly sped up gourd drinking animations, so it is quite solid, honestly. After that, take the more modern looking path that we split off from earlier, and you'll come up to the Petalfall Hamlet Shrine. Just in front of this, you will meet an NPC named Daoist Me, who asks you to help him retrieve something to help him out, some eggs perhaps. And as you defeat the monks in the area, they will eventually drop you the key item that is what he's after. Bring this back to Daoist Me once you've had it dropped to initiate an actual bonus boss fight. The reward for completing this is actually just a brand new transformation spell that is entirely missable in a way that you couldn't even get it for the rest of your playthrough, Violet Hail. This one turns you into a worm guai, shooting out poison everywhere, just like the second phase of that boss itself. Heavy attacks build stacks on enemies, light attacks against enemies with stacks will consume their stacks and wound them for bonus damage. There are also 2 spells in this transformation, Hive Mind, which explodes all planted stacks in the enemies, which gives you health regen in return, and Self Detonation, which just explodes and basically activates the Hive Mind spell automatically when you de-transform. Again, both of these are actually totally missable, but only if you do the mandatory boss first, who is extremely cool, so I really just don't want to spoil it. Though I will say, if you don't care about the Scorpionlord rewards, not killing him will actually result in him joining in this fight and just completely changing the way that it actually plays out and helping you, which is really neat, honestly. That said, the main rewards for the main boss of the secret area that I'm not going to spoil are the Weaver's Needle Vessel, which has the active effect of homing in with a needle and then attacking an enemy when you activate it. So our first properly offensive vessel, and the passive equip effect of this too, increases crit chance and crit damage. So honestly, this is just a really good vessel to have. You absolutely do want to have this if you don't care about the effects of the other vessels we've had up to this point. The other main reward though for this is the specific material that you needed to have to craft the helmet of the Iron set, which is generally unlocked by defeating the Blacksmith Challenge in Zodiac Village. This cannot be crafted until you beat this boss though, so it is sort of unlocked by this. This set as a whole is built around rock solid, but you can't get the 4-piece until you have the helmet, which you can't make until you've beaten this boss. That just about does it for today then, everyone. The remainder of the secrets in the second half of Chapter 4 for Black Myth Wukong. Let us know if you still want us to keep going as we approach the final 2 chapters of the game, of course, but I hope you've enjoyed this, and hopefully it has helped you in some way towards something that you missed or that you just didn't know about before. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.